Hi, this is Kevin Brown, your 2-Minute Tuesday. I want to talk to you today about optimism when it's hard. Last week, the Supreme Court refused to take up a case that involved two pharmacists here this is in Olympia, Washington. This is Ralph's Pharmacy, just a mom and pop pharmacy that said they did not want to distribute the abortifacient morning after pill, and the Supreme Court refused to take it up, and because of that, the Ninth Circuit Court verdict stood, which said that they had to serve this pill, even though only 2.3 miles away was another pharmacy that had no problem serving the pill. And so I say that to say that it's hard to have optimism when you continue to see our religious liberties and freedoms struck down in our country. It got me thinking about difficult days. How about these days, in the days of Hitler? There was this man, maybe you've heard of him before, Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I love Bonhoeffer, and I loved his optimism. He was one that talked about standing for truth, and Bonhoeffer did. He led a coup to try to take down Hitler, and ended up being put in prison, a concentration camp, and was ultimately hung. But I want to read to you what he said about optimism in the face of such difficult circumstances. He says this, he says, "It is more sensible to be pessimistic. Disappointments are left behind, and one can face people unembarrassed. Hence, the clever frown upon optimism. In its essence, optimism is not a way of looking at the present situation, I like this, but a power of life, a power of hope when others resign, a power to hold our heads high when all seems to have come to naught, a power, I like this, to tolerate setbacks, a power that never abandons the future to the opponent, but lays claim to it. Certainly, Bonhoeffer says there is a stupid, cowardly optimism that must be frowned upon. But no one ought to despise optimism as the will for the future. However many times it is mistaken, it is the health of life that ill dare not infect. There are people who think it frivolous, and Christians who think it impious to hope for a better future on earth and to prepare for it. They believe in chaos, disorder, and catastrophe, perceiving it in what is, notice what he says there, in what is happening now. See, sometimes I feel it's all falling apart, but it's not. He says they withdraw in resignation or pious flight. They flee from the world, from the responsibility of ongoing life, for building anew for the coming generations. It may be that the day of judgment will dawn tomorrow. Only then, and no earlier, will we readily lay down our work for a better future. And that's how I feel. And so I am optimistic. This has been Kevin Brown with your 2-Minute Tuesday.